Well, this is our leopard gecko, Star. I got custody of him. I actually got this sign right after I got divorced. I laugh a lot. The sign in the kitchen makes me think of my oldest daughter. The divorce process in 2004, we sat down together and we came up with our own agreement. It was fairly simple, and we wrote our own custody schedule, which was a 50-50 custody split. In November of 2008, my ex-husband started violating court orders and withheld one of our children from being with me.
Wendy pleaded with her ex-husband to maintain the custody schedule, but he refused. So she took the matter to family court to ask for help.
My ex-husband's attorney asked for a guardian ad litem, or what's called an amicus attorney, to be appointed to our case. Her job was supposed to be to determine what's in the best interest of the children.
Sometimes the courts will appoint an attorney to represent the child, but that is not necessarily a positive step either.
She told me in our first meeting that she would be giving custody to my ex-husband. It was very shocking to me.
I have seen some attorneys who, because they want to curry favor with the judge so that that judge will appoint them again, they tend to provide a report that leans toward what they think the judge wants anyway. Not a positive system.
The amicus attorney sent me a bill for $11,000. And they knew I didn't have $11,000. I took my bank statements to court, and they knew that I was to the point where I had nothing left. It was actually very clever on the other attorney's parts. I got an ultimatum, a motion for enforcement that said, pay this $11,000 or go to jail. So it really got to the end of the line for me.
With her back against the wall, Wendy decided to do some digging.
We had gone in and we had obtained some public records from the Ethics Commission. I came to find out, and it is reflected in public documents, that the amicus attorney in our case has relationships with the judge in our case. And she has worked very closely with my ex-husband's attorneys in previous cases. And in fact, my ex-husband's attorneys represented the amicus attorney in a case.
Wendy kept digging.
We found that the amicus attorney in our case was a large campaign contributor to the judge in our case, and the attorneys representing my ex-husband were also large campaign contributors to the judge in our case.
It seems kind of unbelievable to me, but the judge is hearing a case where one of the parties, their attorneys, is a very large campaign contributor.
Sounds like a conflict of interest, doesn't it?
And that wasn't all she found.
If you pull the records from the Texas Ethics Commission, you'll find oftentimes that the attorneys who make the largest contributions to the judges tend to win most of their cases.
Because of all this, Wendy requested a new judge in an effort to get a fair trial. The courts responded by asking another judge to rule on whether there was a conflict of interest regarding the campaign contributions. The other judge heard the case and denied Wendy's request, but made a very interesting speech.
And the judge said, this thing about contributions is as uncomfortable for a judge as any topic you can get on. That's because you folks that are non-lawyers don't contribute to judicial campaigns. And the only way that a judge can run for re-election is to raise money for all those things that cost to get your name before the public. And you know who has the most interest in seeing that done? The lawyers.
And if we read on, he says the lawyers only contribute to good judges. So what does it mean to be a good judge in the eyes of a lawyer? Perhaps it means seeing things their way. Some lawyers even boast that they can control the outcome of a case.
They have it now where $300,000 to $400,000 will guarantee the outcome.
Amazingly, these same judges are also the ones who approve the bills of all of the court professionals who work on your case. And the child support formula is so complicated that it can even be used to make a low-income parent pay money to a wealthy parent. This happened in Wendy's case. When she went to court to get help with visitation, the judge ordered her to start paying child support to her ex-husband, even though her ex-husband's income was much higher.
My ex-husband was living in a $1 million house. He had several very expensive cars, and his income was about $400,000 a year. I produced my pay stubs, my bank statements, my tax returns. I begged the court to not order me to pay child support because of my financial situation. My monthly expenses alone, out of my income of $2,400 per month, were $3,000 a month. So I was already negative $600 a month. I was ordered to pay my ex-husband $775 per month.
These people end up racking up a big child support debt. A lot of states have interest on the debt. Sometimes that interest is as high as 10 or 12%. And the person ends up saddled with a debt that they can no longer pay.
I ended up losing all of my cash, lost all of my credit, and when I had nothing left, then my mom spent her retirement money to help me.
Wendy didn't see her daughter for 2 years and ultimately ended up losing custody altogether.
I felt very victimized by the family court, and I think that my children were the biggest victims of the family court. It's very frustrating and it's very depressing to have gone for help and then to come out with your family destroyed.
Litigation is very poorly suited for family matters. It pits loved ones against each other, and the kids get caught in the crossfire.
I don't know when you'll read this, but I love you so much, Mommy. I just hope you know what an impact you've made on my life. I have no idea what I would ever do without you.
I think someday in the future, when shared parenting is the norm, when the family court systems have been reformed, I think we're going to look back on this era, the way we look back on the Dark Ages, as a very barbaric era.